Hello, hello. Good evening. Good happy Tuesday evening to everybody. If you're on here live, I'd love to know. If you comment hi, I'd love to say hi to you. If you're catching the replay, I'd love to know that you stopped by too. Tonight we're gonna go over back of the knee pain. This pain is pretty weird because most structures of the knee display pain forward. This area was brought up in our last live stream about whenever I went over some knee pain for the front, like inside of the knee. If you want to be tagged in that video, if you missed it, let me know. Just say inside of the knee pain and I'll tag you in that video to make sure you don't miss out. It's got some pretty spot on stuff in there. If you have back of the knee pain, you probably have tried a lot of different things and it's probably very confusing for you. So what we're going to go over today is I want to talk about a couple reasons why you might have pain here, and then go over a couple reasons for when you're actually on the bike, some things that you might be doing that may be causing you to have some of this knee pain, and then go over two exercises on how to help you figure out this movement mechanic and or help to decrease that pain through there. So what all goes on in this lovely back of the knee region? So we have a couple muscles. We have our hamstrings that come up and attach on like the side edges of our knee. And so if you have pain where these guys attach, you can feel them. They're like two ropey things on like the back edges of your knee. And you can feel them when you like dig your heel into the ground if you're in this type of position. You'll feel them dig into your hands here. If you have pain through here, then you potentially have a little bit of a hamstring tendinosis, or like basically where your tendon attaches to your bone. It's not happy, you pissed it off. What you need to do is a little bit of stretching for that and then some light hamstring exercises. We're going to go over one of those hamstring exercises that is on point later on in this video. So if you have that, that's not quite like center back of the knee, but people can associate that with being in the back of the knee area. The other thing that comes in the back of the knee is our calf. This lovely thing right here. Okay, so we have our gastroc heads. And most people think just of our calf and our gastroc heads as affecting our ankle. What people mostly don't know is the fact that our calf actually crosses over our knee joint. And so this is the reason why when your knee is straight, your gastroc, or like the big bulky muscle right through here, part of your calf, works more. And then if your knee is bent and you're wanting your calf to work, you usually use your soleus. And so your calf, if you have some knots or some other different muscle issues in your calf specifically, then that can play a role in pain in the back of the knee. One of the easiest ways to help with this is literally you take your fingers and you dig in to this lovely calf muscle. And you're not digging into the back of the knee. You're digging into more of the muscle belly meat through here. And if you feel some pain through there, and one of the best ways is to check side to side. So if you have a side that hurts and a side that doesn't hurt, check and see, oh, okay, I feel some knots. Are they also on this side? Because our calf kind of gets a little bit ropey. It doesn't like to be poked on in general. And I don't know if has anybody had a calf massage? Because they're painful. I want to know if you've had one or if you've ever had your calf worked on, because it's not fun. It's really not. There's a reason why whenever I'm going to work on someone's calf, you know what I do? I sit on their foot so they don't kick me. And so I can really dig into their calf and help them feel better. So do that, but check side to side and see how it goes within that. And see if it feels similar one side compared to the other. Now, your calf also plays a role into the next area of subject. The next main reason why people have pain in the back side of their knee. You have this massive nerve called your sciatic nerve. It's like as big as my pinky, which is very large in the back, or as far as nerves go in your body. Most of them are like freaking floss, whenever you look at them. And yes, Kira, you understand about those massages. And so this nerve runs, it comes out of like several different levels of your spine, and it forms a main nerve somewhere around inside your butt, like here. This nerve then tracks down next to your sit bone, down into your leg, down the back side of your thigh, and then splits right about the back side of your knee. One part goes around to the outside of your leg, and the other part dives deep inside the calf. And so nerves, people like to think of them as electrical signals, and that you're pushing electrical signal one way, and that's, if you have an issue before that, then the electrical signal is not going to go through. Well, you can also have an issue farther down the chain and it affects up the chain. People don't typically talk about that as much because it's not quite as common. However, in athletes, especially in us ladies, who we like to use our quad and we like to use our calves, we can have issues that stem from our calf that irritate. Basically, it's a tight muscle, and or some scar tissue or some other types of connective tissue that attach over to our nerve, and it can basically irritate it. It's how I like to describe that irritation. It's not like sciatica. It's completely different, but it is still the nerve getting irritated. It's just to a much, much lesser degree. It's now whenever somebody gets into your bubble and they start talking to you and they're like right here, and you're like, I don't really like this, but you're really not touching me enough to be able to say anything about it because you don't know them quite as well. That's the calf muscle and the sciatic nerve. It's just encroaching on its space too much. And so it doesn't like it. And so what do you do to help within that? You can do two different things. One is changing a little bit of how you ride. And then two is doing that calf massage I just talked about. So you can have, from the calf, you can have two different things that cause pain in this region. One is just a sheer muscle soreness that is a knot that's back there. Two, the knots and the other sorenesses in the calf can actually be irritating your sciatic nerve, and that can piss off your nerve and cause other pains in the backside of your thigh, in the backside of your knee. And it will be a lot of times whenever you're really pushing down hard on that pedal to stand up and push over some roots or some other technical stuff. It won't be quite as much when you are just cruising along on the trail and it's like more cross-country-ish style. It's when you're really pushing for those rooty, more technical areas. Okay? I hope that makes sense. It also, when I talk about what to change for riding, it means that you're probably pushing a lot more with your calf than you are with your butt. Let me say that again. You're using your calf more than you are supposed to be, and you're supposed to be using your butt for some of that. So if I'm wanting to push myself forward, I can either push myself forward with my calf, or I can push myself forward with my leg. Okay? And same thing can go when you're doing more of that step up push, to step through your pedals and get really that pedal going down and moving, is that you can almost be driving too much through your calf. A good way of knowing this, just take a video of yourself. Do your heels raise a ton? And or does it look like you're actually moving more through your hips? Because if you're just pushing down with your calf, then that's making your calf have to work more than actually it's supposed to. Does anybody else think this? A lot of times people have massive and like beautiful calves that are like this. Like they're just glorious, and I'm a little bit jealous of you. But your butt is usually suffering a little bit. And you're wondering why you don't have as much of a butt, but you have some glorious looking calves. That's a lot of times if you are fall into this category, as if you use your calves more than you use your butt. You'll have some fantastic looking calves. So I hope that makes sense for that area. So that's our calf, and with regards to muscle and to nerve irritation. Now, we also talked about the hamstring, just as a little recap, and how your hamstring muscles can play a role into it as well. Now, people a lot of times will think that their hamstring is what's causing the back of their knee pain because they feel it through the center part of their thigh. Most of the time, whenever you have center of the thigh issues, it's more so your nerve. Because if you look at the anatomy of how your thigh is put together with the hamstring muscles, then you'll know that you have one, and you're going to see my little butt here. You'll have one on one side that's coming down, that's actually two, and then you'll have the two on the other side that are here, and they're kind of split. And that's so your nerve and other stuff, arteries and other whatnot, can hover through in the middle part of there. And so they don't get messed with whenever you're using your hamstring. So then if you have issues in the center part of your thigh, most of the time it's regarded into sciatica irritation. Okay? Same thing. It's a little bit different than typical sciatica because it's shown up more so in the knee than anywhere else in the body. Does this make sense? Let me know if this makes sense to you, because it's a little bit foreign thoughts. Push like or something like that. Give me a little feedback here, guys. All right, so now going a little bit more into why your sciatica or your sciatic nerve can be irritated, not just from your calf, but it can also be irritated from your butt. People know that as piriformis syndrome. And then you can also have irritation from your back, but it's not as extreme as having like a slipped disc, as having other major issues coming on your back. You may not even feel any back pain, but it can potentially be from there. So I group the glute irritation, or like the butt pushing on the nerve, and the back kind of together, because those areas function together a ton. And with every single pedal stroke that we do, whenever we stand up, whenever we walk, all of it, all that jazz. And so one of the biggest things that you might be doing when you're climbing is, instead of having good core strength, you twist your body so then you can use your butt to move. And most of the time people will twist and do a little back bend for it. And so you'll do this as you're on the bike so you can step up through that. And it basically is a way of tightening up this system, so then you can use your glute, but it does irritate in the back where the segments of the sciatic nerve come out. And that's where you can get a sciatic nerve irritation, not a sciatica. I hope you understand the difference between that. It still involves the sciatic nerve. One is just to a substantial lesser degree. You just feel it in the back side of your knee. This one guy came in to see me. He had done a lot of hike-a-bike that day. This is also another way of riding or walking your bike that you can piss this area off. And we usually walk our bike upwards whenever things are too steep. So then whenever we get back on it, one, we're a little bit shaky from just hiking up that and pulling our bike and moving our bike. But two, if you were pushing that bike way out in front of you, I was pushing that bike here, I had my hands on the bars, then I can sag down through my back and actually stress here. And instead of making it where I'm using my legs and my core together. So, little tip here. One of the ways that I liked personally, and what I tell my patients of how to hike their bike, is that one hand goes on the bar where it has access to the brake. The other hand goes on the stem. That arm then puts your elbow right into your stomach, okay? And then you can push the bike from your body versus from your arms out in front. So hand on the bar on the brake, hand on the stem. This hand, then if you need to go up over some roots, can flip over, you bicep curl the front wheel up, set it back down, and then you can push forward within that, using legs, using core. It's one of the best ways. And if you're anywhere around here, around Pisgah, which is Western North Carolina, if you ride out there, you know what you're going to be doing? Hiking your bike. And I do it all the time. And this is one of the reasons why I've started this, was because I was actually having a lot of people come in and they were getting injured from hiking their bike. There's one guy with a hamstring strain. He actually didn't strain his hamstring. He really significantly pissed off his sciatic nerve. And it was from hiking his bike. So one, if you have back of the knee pain, watch how you hike your bike, if you have to hike it around your area or not. Two, watch how you're actually climbing. And so if you're arching that back and trying to dive in just a little bit, I'm exaggerating a little bit so you actually see what I mean. Whenever you're on the bike, to get that movement and to be able to push that pedal up, then that's also irritating that area. Now, we haven't talked about the butt and its irritation to the sciatic nerve. That's the last area that we're going to talk about for causes of pain. This is if you are not using, or if you have a lack of core strength, but you have fantastic legs. So your butt is working just fantastically. Your quads are working fantastically, but you do not have the core strength to pony up and handle it for the activation and strength that your legs do. This is where a lot of people who road cycle that cross over to mountain biking, it's where they have issues because you're in a different position. You have to be in a more upright position where you have to have more core strength as a whole than if you were riding road, because you're in more of that tucked position and your core is likely a little bit more on and it's easier to control. This position is just easier to control than if you're up into this position and you're trying to get those legs to work underneath of you. And so that's where you can put a whole lot more pressure through your spine, through your glutes, and your glutes will work a whole lot more, causing soreness, causing irritation, causing tightness in that glute area. This makes sense. So to help that, one, you need to do core strength. And then two, you need to make sure you're rolling out your glutes well enough. Whether it's using the lovely big black balls, oh my gosh, if I could talk tonight. Whether it's either using this, a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball, a foam roller, I don't care. Just make sure you're rolling out your glutes enough and make sure you're rolling out your quads enough. And so you don't get that irritation of that sciatic nerve. People call this piriformis syndrome. Basically, it's a tightness around the nerve as it goes through your butt, and it's more so likely your piriformis than any other muscle. It's just because it's around it. I'd say it can be any of the muscles. The studies don't show that it just is your piriformis. That's just what it's been labeled more so. Okay, so the areas that we've talked about for pain: hamstring, your sciatic nerve irritation coming from butt, back, or calf. And then we've also talked about your calf muscle. There's one other area that I want to touch on just real quickly, and that's if you get what's called a Baker's cyst in the backside of your knee. If it's all of a sudden this like growth of fluid, I would figure that if you had that happen, that you would go see a doctor, but I just want to make sure you know about it. Baker's cysts are there. They form literally right on the backside of your knee, and it's a pocket of fluid. A lot of times they diagnose it because you can shine a light through it, and it like lights it up, like it's filled with water or fluid. Cool. So now that we got those out of the way, and we talked about the climbing different things, so not diving into your back to get support and stability for pushing down onto that pedal, and also making sure you're not just diving through your calves and that you're using your hips as well. All right, and then we also talked about how you hike your bike. Fantastic. I love it. You guys are keeping up. So now we're going to get into the main meat of it all. We're going to go over a couple of exercises, 2 of them to be exact. So first one is going to be a simple bridge or a hip thrust. I say either one. It's not the typical yoga bridge. So you're going to be on your back. And the first step that you do is literally just raising up that butt. Abs are on, driving up through your glutes. I don't want you squeezing your glutes when you do this. It should be able to work automatically without you having to squeeze your butt cheeks together. I do want you pushing down more so through your heels. So this is base. To make it harder, you cross your leg over top of the other leg, and then you drive up and forward. The reason why I like for people to move into this one more so is because whenever we're pushing on the pedals, we don't do both pedals at the same time. We're pushing down one and then the other within reason of that. So being able to do it one-sided versus the other side is important. And this helps you with that drive. I'll do it on the other side so you can see. So that leg's crossing over top. It helps you with driving that leg down to step up, to push that pedal down, using more of your hamstring, using more of your glutes, and your core is in control. This doesn't allow you to do that side kick that we all love to do whenever things get hard. Okay, so that's exercise number 1. This is the easier of the 2 exercises. The second exercise, let me raise up this guy just a smidge. You're going to take a support if you need it. One leg is going to be in front of the other. You're kind of going to be in your little bit of a stance that offset, okay? So not one right behind the other. You're going to be stance out to the side. The back leg is just like toe touchdown. And you're literally going to just stick your butt out and bring your butt forward. It's basically, I call it it's a modified lunge / single leg squat because you're going through those same mechanics. Now the key is that you're learning how to drive through this leg and how to keep your core on. So you use glutes, you use hammies, and you use a little bit of quads, okay? And it's helping you for that control through here, okay? Use this if you need it, if you feel like your core is not kicking on quite as well. And also, if it's too hard for your front leg, push a little bit with the back leg until you get it all under control and seated forward. Even if you do not have any back of the knee pain and you're hanging out just watching and listening, these exercises are great for climbing. They help you to use your glutes better, they help you to use your core better, and they help you with balance. Because if you're here in this position and your weight's more so on this leg, then you're going to be balancing a whole lot better through it and knowing how to understand and use this area of your body. All right, guys, I hope that makes sense. If it does, please tell me so. If you have questions, please let me know. And that's all I have for tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful night.